What's up, guys? How are we doing today? Photon Hypernova right around the corner. What decks are going to be the best? Which decks can compete? We got Tier 1, 1.5, 2, and Rogue. I don't think we're going to be in a Tier 0 format once Photon Hypernova is released, so that is a good thing. But what decks are where? What can you expect? And how is this going to play out? We're going to go kind of alphabetical order based on these charts down below. I believe I have 23 decks to mention today. Obviously, if they're on here anywhere, you can see success, especially at the local level. But on the right day, with the right pilot, a little bit of luck, any one of these decks can do very well. We've seen crazier things happen. Branded, they're getting a bunch more new support. Where does that push them up to? I think they're going to be a solid 1.5 deck. We've already seen Branded do a lot in a format. We've seen it be Tier 1 with Sword Soul. We've seen it since release be played at least a little bit to a degree. On DB Grinder, we see a lot of post-Photon Hypernova deck lists where people are playing this deck and seeing success with it. I think Branded post-Photon Hypernova is going to be a good 1.5 deck. Crystal Beast, they got the structure deck, Conclave Control as I've heard it be called. I think they're Rogue. They had topped a little more before a Shizu came out, and I know players like Jesse Cotton have mentioned that if a Shizu goes away, the deck does become quite a bit better. So, I mean, if a Shizu gets hit on a ban list, who knows? Maybe Crystal Beast can see some more success, and this list is all assuming we don't get a ban list. And, well, if we get one between when this is queued up and not, I guess that's going to kind of suck, because then you guys won't actually see this. Dark World, just like Crystal Beast, they just got a structure deck. The deck does insane boards going first. Going second, I do feel like it falls a little flat, and as far as resource management compared to the higher strategy decks, I don't think it quite has it. A good Tier 2 deck. Dinosaurs, my almost 6-year-old son is playing this deck. It's the deck I'm teaching him how to play. He also kind of played zombies, branded zombies for a little bit. They're going to be a solid rogue deck. You might see them here or there. I said Miscellaneousaurus should go to 2 on the next ban list. If that happens, I'd expect Dinos to see like 2 more people play it, but the deck would be better if Miscellaneousaurus can go to 2. Dinosaur rogue deck. Dragon Link, I like my dragons. Bestials help this deck out so much. The format, however, did not, and I don't know if Kashtira is going to really be any better, any favors for this deck. Any combo deck, really, Kashtira is just going to mess with pretty hardcore between maining things like Shifter and just ripping apart your extra deck. Dragon Link, however, I will end up putting as probably the best Tier 2 strategy. Yeah, we'll see if they stay at the top of Tier 2 by the end of this. Draco Slayer, it's a deck that's seen a lot more success lately as well, getting their support in the Darkwing Blast set. I have them as a good Tier 2 strategy as well. Drytron, Bestials hurt this deck so much. Bestials aren't going to get hit in any way, shape, or form on the next ban list, so I don't expect to see a whole lot change. However, the deck can still pop off, and the deck is still crazy, so we are going to mention them as a rogue deck. Exosisters, people talk about their matchup with Tearlaments, and I think that matchup just isn't quite good enough to stay up in that I can compete with you format. However, they are a good Tier 2 strategy, and we'll leave them there until we see them truly fall off. Flunder, this deck probably is the best counter to the meta. Maining Shifter, which personally I don't know if Maining Shifter is going to be as strong post Photon Hypernova because more and more decks are doing it and more decks are playing around it. It just happens to be Tearlaments really can't do anything through Shifter, and as long as Tearlaments is the best deck, decks that play it like Flundries will be very good as well. Flunder, Tier 1.5. Heroes now. Where do we put heroes? We've seen them pop up on a couple Hakuna Matata's recent data-driven tier lists. Go check out his channel for the best analytical content out there. We're going to leave them in the rogue category. We do have our first Tier 1 deck, Kashtira. This deck's insane, guys. Like, if you don't open the out, you're probably going to lose. By the time you activate one monster effect, they can actually lock out either your entire back row, your entire monster lineup, or a combination of the two. But by the time you use one monster effect, they can have 5 of your zones blocked off, and you just cannot use them. So if you don't open the out, well, you probably lost. And by the time, even if you opened the out, they know your extra deck. They already ripped a card out of it, and they also banished like 7 cards off of the top of your deck face down. So they're already doing a lot to hurt you, even if you opened the out. So depending what you're playing, you might break their board, but you might not even be able to play yourself. My Dolces, it's just that deck that seems to always pop up, like just 1 or 2 throughout the course of a format, so we are going to leave them as a rogue deck. Mathmech once was the best option to counter Sword Soul and Despia. However, it's down here at rogue now. Like, it's fallen from its face of grace. They do have a lot of room for hand traps though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see like the right format come up and see Mathmech shoot back up. Mechanical Libromancer. I actually got to play against this deck just recently, and I had them at tier 2, and I was like, should I really keep them at tier 2 or should I bump them down to rogue? And actually playing against him, I had a little more respect for him. He came out of nowhere at one point, and he attacked me for a game because he doesn't die by battle, and actually like I take the battle damage from it, and I was not expecting it. Post game 1, knowing what they do, it was definitely a lot easier to counter the deck. However, you know, if you don't know what they do, it's actually kind of crazy how fast they can just get out of hand. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to be a great deck or hit that tier 1 1.5 level. I really don't trust them to do that, but I do think people will play it, especially being a new strategy, getting the support in the Amazing Defenders set that actually released a couple days ago. And we'll see what they do, but I think it's a deck that you should definitely brush up on and know how to play against. Otherwise, you may be in for a long day. If we should do a how to play against or how to beat video of it, let us know down below. We did already do Tearlaments and Kashtira, and we'll keep working through some other lists. Another deck that I had played recently, this one I knew was going to stay up in here, Naturia. They could play the Shizu cards as well. The deck actually popped off. It was kind of crazy. First time playing against it, and I played against a couple more since then. I didn't have any plans on moving them out of tier 2, and they solidified their spot here. They're kind of right up there with Dragon Link, near the top of tier 2, if we're being honest about decks. Punk. This deck has been like an engine. It's been pure. It's been hit on the ban list. It's done so much. I think it's still a rogue strategy as an engine or as a deck. I think it's just missing like that one card to really tie everything together. Runic, tier 2. The deck, Runic Sprite probably being the best one just because all the spells put out Hugin, which is a level 2, which turns on your whole Sprite engine. Obviously making your opponent banished from their deck is going to be good too for the effects. I kind of surprised I haven't seen anyone do like a deck out Kashtira Runic deck. That'd be kind of interesting to see, and it'd probably be pretty effective. I just wonder how it would do going second. Maybe we will mess around with that. Sprite, where do we put Sprite? I got them right at the top of 1.5, borderline tier 1. I think it came down to Sprite and Kashtira, which one takes that tier 1 spot, and I think Kashtira is just slightly higher up than Sprite because I think it has a good Sprite matchup, and well, it's just going to be a little bit better against Tearlaments as well, but I could see Sprite pushing their way into tier 1 because I do think Kashtira and the format overall is going to be a little more balanced post Photon Hypernova. Sky Striker, Reyes Bay, the deck won't go away. Rogue, it's getting closer, guys. Again, Striker soon, maybe they won't be on here, but for now they are going to be in our Rogue strategies. Bringing us on to Sword Soul. Like we said a few times already, this deck was tier 1 at one point. They had their run, they had their time to shine, if you will. They're still a good tier 2 deck though. I think that a Shizu is another. There's so many decks that the mills hurt so bad, and Kashtira, I mean, isn't going to do any favors to this deck either. Like, you have to play a lot of awkward two ofs in your extra deck, otherwise you run the risk of losing them to your opponent, or if you just don't have the space. Like, the Kashtira deck is just going to make a lot of these combo centered decks a little interesting to see how they can adapt to it space wise. Tearlaments, you guys already know, like, they're still going to be tier 1 unless they get like absolutely destroyed on a ban list. They're going to stay tier 1. Tri Brigade and Virtual World, Ironically enough, there was a point in time where these two decks were like right near the top together. Virtual World kind of shared the spotlight with Drytron a little bit more, but Tri-Brigade had their time right near tier 1. Virtual World was tier 1 back with VFD. Currently though, I have them both as rogue strategies. We did play Tier Limit, or not Tier Limit, we played Virtual World when Tier Limit was first taking over, and Ishizu and all that, just because the Miller's getting, having your graveyard and some semi-decent effects in the grave as well. It was fun, along with Phantom Knights too. Two decks that we'll probably work on updating for post-Photon Hypernova, but we'll see what happens with a ban list or lack thereof ban list, and we'll see how the format shapes up. However, this is kind of what I expect the format to look like. Tier Limits Cashier at the top, Sprite Flow and Despia branded being right behind them, with Dragon Link, Naturia, Draco Slayer, Dark World, Exo Sister, Sword Soul, Makanko, and Runic all being pretty strong decks as well. And then especially at locals, Mathmech, Dino, Hero, Striker, Punk, Crystal Beast, Drytron, Madolche, Tri-Brigade, Virtual World. We're in a weird power creep where most rogue decks aren't going to see success. If there's anything you think should be higher or lower, or what did I miss that should be tier 2 or higher, if I missed it and you're like, oh, this is a good rogue deck too, well, I can't put every rogue deck on here. I just grabbed a handful of them. So if it's not on here, I have it as a rogue deck or just a worse deck than rogue. But if there's anything that should be tier 2 or higher, let me know down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, guys. Thank you for watching.